In the forgotten reaches of Eberron's Lazar principalities, where the winds carry whispers of ancient elf-dragon conflicts, there stands a dark castle on the island of Falnan. Within its shadowed halls, a queen who died over 1,000 years ago plots the downfall of nations. Banana breakdown. Today, we're talking about Lady Illmarrow, a being who makes most leeches look like amateurs with weekend hobbies. While other undead might scheme to destroy a city, she's been orchestrating the same revenge plot for a millennium. Imagine being so cross with someone that you'd spend 1,000 years planning how to get even. Most of us can't stay angry past tea time. So let's talk about the Lich Queen of the Frozen Wastes, shall we? The story begins, as the worst family dramas often do, with a forbidden romance and a child who should never have existed. Long before she was Lady Illmarrow, she was born Erandis Vol, the product of a union that shook the foundations of Eberron itself. In Eberron, certain bloodlines carry magical dragon marks, physical sigils that grant extraordinary powers. The elven kingdom of Erandis once housed the noble House Vol, bearers of the Mark of Death, which granted power over the forces of mortality itself. The head of House Vol, an elven woman named Minara Vol, did something unprecedented and dangerous. She formed an alliance with a dragon from the line of the Emerald Claw through a political union. Her ultimate aim was to combine dragon blood with the Mark of Death, believing it would create a being of unprecedented power. The result was Erandis, a half-dragon, half-elf, born with a Mark of Death more powerful than any before. Her very existence terrified both dragons and elves so profoundly that these ancient enemies actually formed an alliance with a single purpose: extermination. The combined might of dragons and elves descended upon House Volume. Their holdings were razed, their members hunted down and slaughtered. The Mark of Death was deemed too dangerous to exist. And young Erandis. She was personally executed by the dragons, her body left among the burning ruins of her ancestral home. But her mother, in a final desperate act, performed a forbidden ritual to preserve her daughter's essence. She transformed Erandis into a lich, binding her soul to undeath rather than letting it pass beyond. And here's the cruelest twist. When Erandis rose as a lich, her precious Mark of Death no longer functioned. Undead cannot use dragon marks. The very power that had made her a target, that had caused the destruction of her entire house, was now beyond her reach. Imagine that moment of realization. Everything you were, everything that made you special, rendered useless by the very magic meant to save you. But rather than accept this fate, Erandis Vol, now known as Lady Illmarrow, began what would become a 1,000-year quest for vengeance and restoration. Lady Illmarrow didn't simply hide in a crypt like your average lich. She established what might be the most unsettling royal court in any D&D settings. Within her palace of ice and bone, Lady Illmarrow holds court with a retinue of undead servants and allies. Former nobles, fallen warriors, and dark wizards, all preserved in undeath to serve her eternal plans. Unlike most liches who embrace their isolation, Lady Illmarrow maintains all the trappings of nobility within Illmarrow Castle. She hasn't forgotten she's royalty, even if her kingdom now consists of dark corridors and servants, who are literally skeletons in her closet. Now, every good lich story involves a phylactery. That's the magical object that holds their soul and prevents them from truly dying. Destroy a lich's body, and they'll eventually reform near their phylactery. Destroy the phylactery, and you've got yourself a permanently dead lich. But here's where Lady Illmarrow's situation becomes truly unique in the annals of lichdom. According to Eberron sourcebooks, she doesn't actually know where her phylactery is. It was lost during her transformation, creating a profound irony. The immortal being who fears death above all else cannot ensure her own resurrection if destroyed. This mystery is perhaps her greatest vulnerability. Without knowing where her soul would reform, she cannot risk destruction, making her significantly more cautious than other liches who can afford to be destroyed occasionally, knowing they'll return. Her magical capabilities are extraordinary. Even without access to her mark of death, she still carries the blood of one of the most powerful dragon bloodlines in Eberron. This gives her innate magical abilities beyond those of a typical lich. Her spellcasting combines elven high magic, draconic sorcery, and necromantic arts, perfected over a millennium. According to the Eberron sourcebooks, she has mastery over cold-based magic and necromancy, combining these disciplines in ways few other undead can match. Unlike many liches who fully embrace their skeletal appearance, Lady Illmarrow uses powerful illusion magic to conceal her undead nature when necessary. The sourcebooks explain that these are not simple disguises, but advanced magical techniques that allow her to appear less overtly undead when it suits her purposes. However, these are still illusions. She cannot truly regain a living form or maintain such appearances indefinitely. From her frozen throne, she directs her agents throughout Corvair and beyond, patient, calculating, and utterly focused on her twin goals of restoration and revenge. What truly sets Lady Illmarrow apart is the scale of her ambition and her inhuman patience. She's been plotting for over 1,000 years, longer than most nations in Corvair have existed. Her plans unfold on multiple levels, each with contingencies and fail-safes spanning generations. While mortal villains operate on limited timelines, Lady Illmarrow can spend decades setting up a single operation. The blood of Vol is often associated with Lady Illmarrow, but the relationship is more complex than most realise. The Eberron sourcebooks establish that the blood of Vol was founded by survivors of House Vol after its destruction. It predates Lady Illmarrow's rise as a lich and exists as an independent religion with its own theology, centred on the divinity within mortal blood. The majority of Blood of Vol followers have no knowledge of Lady Illmarrow's existence. They follow the religion's teachings that divinity lies within mortal blood, and that undeath can be a path to immortality, completely unaware of the Lich Queen who shares their founder's lineage. What makes this particularly interesting is that Lady Illmarrow doesn't control the religion. She merely influences certain sects within it. Some branches of the Blood of Vol would actually oppose her if they knew of her existence, seeing her as a perversion of their beliefs. Others unwittingly serve her interests, while believing they serve the religion's true purpose. According to the sourcebooks, this complex relationship allows her to access some of the religion's resources while maintaining her distance from its overall leadership. Then there's the Order of the Emerald Claw, her military arm disguised as a Karnathi nationalist organisation. Named after her draconic ancestors' bloodline, this group operates cells throughout Corvair. According to established law, the Emerald Claw has conducted numerous operations throughout Corvair. The sourcebooks confirm they've targeted repositories of ancient knowledge, such as vaults beneath universities and private collections. They've shown particular interest in research related to dragon marks, and have been known to operate in the Mournland, though their specific activities there remain mysterious. The brilliance of Lady Illmarrow's approach is that she maintains multiple layers of separation between herself and her active agents. Most members of the Emerald Claw don't even know they ultimately serve a lich. Only the highest-ranking members know the truth, and many of them have been bound through magical oaths or undeath to ensure their loyalty. Her influence extends into multiple nations and organisations. The Eberron sourcebooks establish that she takes a particular interest in dragon-marked houses, especially those dealing with life and healing like House Jorasco. The exact extent of her infiltration is deliberately left vague in the official material, giving dungeon masters flexibility to develop these connections in their campaigns. Her ultimate goal remains constant: to restore her ability to use the Mark of Death. The sourcebooks establish that she tirelessly researches ancient magical lore that might help her achieve this seemingly impossible goal. As an undead, she cannot use her dragon mark, a fundamental limitation of dragon mark magic. While the canonical lore confirms her obsessive study of dragon marks, it doesn't suggest she has successfully manipulated them yet. She seeks knowledge about how dragon marks function and explores theoretical methods that might allow an undead to use them, but such breakthroughs remain elusive. The fact that she continues her research after a millennium suggests the difficulty of this undertaking. The dragons of Argonison don't fear much, but according to the sourcebooks, they do monitor threats from the Mark of Death. They were willing to form an unprecedented alliance with elves to eliminate House Vol, which demonstrates how seriously they took the potential danger. While the dragon prophecy is known to contain countless possible futures, the official lore doesn't specify exact prophecies about Lady Illmarrow, though her potential restoration certainly represents a significant concern for draconic kind. Perhaps most frightening of all is her patience. She doesn't need to win today, or tomorrow, or even this century. She can afford to retreat, regroup, and try again, and again, and again, until she finally succeeds. As one Eberron sage put it, the living forget. Lady Illmarrow does not. So you want to unleash the Lich Queen on your unsuspecting players? Excellent choice. Lady Illmarrow makes for a fantastic campaign villain precisely because she works at any tier of play. For low-level parties, levels 1 to 5, direct contact with Lady Illmarrow would be instant death. Instead, they might encounter her lowest-ranking agents, perhaps discovering an Emerald Claw cell operating in their hometown, or being hired to retrieve an artifact that, unbeknownst to them, will eventually make its way to the Frozen Court. These early encounters plant seeds for later revelation, the strange symbol they keep finding, the mysterious client who paid them for that seemingly innocent delivery. All roads lead back to the Lich Queen. Mid-tier parties, levels 6 to 10, might face her more significant servants, a vampire agent, a high-ranking Emerald Claw commander, or a Blood of Vol cardinal who knows more than they should. This is where players start connecting the dots, realizing there's a single intelligence behind various threats. By high tier, levels 11 to 16, the party might directly oppose her plans, perhaps preventing a major ritual or destroying an important artifact she seeks. They might even face one of her icebound vessels or projections. Not the true Illmarrow, but a serious threat nonetheless. Only at epic levels, 17+, should players even consider a direct confrontation with Lady Illmarrow in her Frozen Court. This would be the culmination of a campaign-spanning conflict, where the party has systematically dismantled her power base and possibly allied with dragons or elves against her. And here's my personal favourite trick. Have your players unknowingly work for her early in the campaign. There's nothing quite like the moment of realisation when they discover that the mysterious patron who's been sending them on quests is actually the campaign's main villain. The looks on their faces alone are worth the price of admission. What about you? Have you ever used Lady Illmarrow or similar ancient undead in your games? Let me know in the comments how it went. I'm always looking for new ways to terrify players. Lady Illmarrow represents something truly chilling in the world of D&D villains. Not just evil incarnate, but eternal, patient evil, with the clarity of purpose that only a millennium of focus can bring. She is not merely a monster to be slain, or a tyrant to be overthrown. She is a force of nature, a being whose very existence challenges the natural order. What makes her story particularly tragic is that she never chose her fate. She didn't seek lichdom out of fear of death or hunger for power, as most liches do. She was born to be a weapon, killed for what she was, and then raised to undeath without her consent. The irony that her undead state prevents her from using the very power that led to her destruction adds a layer of tragedy to her villainy. In some ways, She's as much a victim as she is a monster, but make no mistake, her tragic origins don't diminish the threat she poses. If she ever succeeds in her quest to restore her mark of death, the revenge she would unleash would be cataclysmic. So the next time your players complain about a villain's convoluted scheme, remind them it could be worse. They could be facing someone who's been refining the same plan since before their great-great-grandparents were born. If you enjoyed this journey into Eberron's frozen north, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments which DD villain you'd like me to cover next. Until then, mind that phylactery. Banana Breakdown, out.